Okay, there we go. Okay, now we have WHGE. Okay. Sorry about that, y'all. I missed the beginning of the show, but I will tell you that I dealt with our haters who said before bringing true and correct information, our information was checked by a international independent fact checker, and found information was true, correct, and accurate. All right, let me bring it back on the air here. WHGE 95.3 FM. All right, I had to get it on the right Facebook feed there on the WHGE. I was on Harmon's personal page. As I always tell you, you don't have to wait until Saturday 11 a.m. to listen to WHGE 95.3. We have a full schedule for you right here on Saturdays. Oh, Saturdays. Now, we've added some shows on Saturdays. Of course, you have the Open Eye. Immediately following the Open Eye is Lorrine Vlard, who is part of the Open Eye team, but she comes on at 12 noon with Facts About Smoking. 4 p.m. on Saturday, we have Ed Johnson Sports Zones, my good friend Ed, my old friend Ed. Also, Saturdays at 5, we have the Weekend Review. And of course, every day at 6, we have Black History Facts and Reflections. Oh, excuse me. The Weekend Review is hosted by Mr. Alan Lawrence, very knowledgeable about local issues and what have you. If you want to know what happened this week, make sure you tune in at 5 p.m. for the Weekend Review. Also, like I said, on Saturdays and every day, Black History Facts and Reflections, which is hosted by our illustrious leader, Mr. Harmon Carey. On Facebook Live earlier this morning on my own Facebook page, I had announced that Dr. Umar Johnson would be in studio guest. Unfortunately, Mr. Johnson got caught up in, or excuse me, Dr. Johnson got caught up in traffic this morning and is not going to be able to make it in. However, I do expect him to call in any moment now. Okay, and you don't want to miss that. You don't want to miss that. So make sure you stay tuned right here on WHGE 95.3 FM. And like I said, we have a full schedule of programming. On Sundays, we have Fix an Addiction with award-winning host Lorrine Vlard. Okay, and I want to try to keep that short. But I got some things going on locally, which I'm sure Alan Lawrence, with his Weekend Review, will give you a more in-depth report on. And that was Wilmington City Council, in protest of the mayor's administration, declined to approve the city budget. There are several reasons why, but Mayor Pazicki's budget proposal to the city council holds the line on taxes, but would bump up rates for city water customers. That's just one of the reasons. There are some other things going on that I'm pretty sure, like I said, Mr. Lawrence will give you a real in-depth report on later on. Those who voted against the budget, they believe that they needed leverage in order to work items that they wanted in the budget, such as police body cameras. That's something that's definitely needed in any city. You know, there's always this talk about tax cuts, or where to cut the national budget. Okay, well, I think we figured that out. Where to cut the national budget? Need to cut it. Well, let's just look at this. Look at the wages that our politicians get. Now, the salary of a retired U.S. president is $450,000 for life. That's for life. Okay? The salary of House and the Senate, $174,000 for life. Salary of the Speaker of House, $223,000 for life. All right. Salary of minority leaders in the House and the Senate, $194,000 for life. The average salary of a soldier deployed in Afghanistan, $38,000. I think we figured out where we need to make the cuts at. All right. Coming on the air right now, Dr. Umar Johnson. Dr. Johnson, good morning. Hello. Hello, Dr. Johnson. Okay, I can't hear you, Doc. Let me see if I got the right line up. Dr. Johnson.
Hello, family.
Hey, how you doing, brother?
All is well, all is well.
All right. Glad to have you on the Open Eye. I understand you have an upcoming event in Wilmington.
I'm not making you out clear, Barbara. I can hear you, but I'm not making out I can hear the voice, but I can't make out the words.
Okay. Let me see. I guess this having a little trouble with my line there, Doc. Give me a second.
Okay.
Right. Okay, is that any better? No, don't look like it. Let me see here. Okay, let's see what's going on here. Okay, how's that, Doc?
Yes, sir, much better.
Oh, okay, all right. Like I said, I understand that you have an upcoming event here in Wilmington.
Absolutely, sir, absolutely. I will be hosting my 5th National Independent Black Parent Advocate Leadership Training Conference. Any Black person in America, you don't have to be a parent, who wants to learn how to protect and defend our children in the public and charter schools of America can come to 1601 North Spruce Street, Saturday and Sunday, June 8th and 9th, from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. It's going to be 2 days, power-packed training. You're going to learn how to read the psychological evaluation. You're going to learn how to read and interpret the IEP. You're going to understand all the federal laws that relate to education. You're going to understand how to develop and interpret a functional behavioral assessment, a positive behavior plan. You're going to learn how to write letters effectively when you want to lodge a grievance against the school. You're going to understand the timelines and deadlines that schools must follow as it relates to special ed evaluation, suspensions, discipline, alternative placement. You're going to learn about the manifestation determination, all of the disability definitions. You will be a master advocate in 2 days with me in Wilmington, Delaware, June 8th and 9th. And anyone who wants to register for that can go to drumarjohnson.com, drumarjohnson.com. There is a fee for the training, but all children are absolutely free to bring your children at no cost.
All right. You know, I think this is very important. I had a situation that I dealt with when I taught a class at a community center on writing. And what happened was a 14-year-old could not read, or he admitted that he couldn't read. And to me, that was a cry for help. Well, when I informed the executive director of this young man's problem, he told me that this young man was star forward on the basketball team, and this was his avenue of acceptance, which was unacceptable to me. Well, come to find out what happened, this young man was placed in special ed where they just sit in class, and his mother was totally unaware of what was going on with his academic level, with his inability to read past a 3rd grade level. So I think this event is something that's very important. And of course, some of our people get a little antsy or a little scared when they say, well, there is a fee. Well, you can't put a price on your child's education.
That is so very true, Baba. And the problem that I often see with our parents is they wait until disaster strikes to try to find out how to deal with it. To give you an example of what I mean, when I do my lectures around the country, and I'll be speaking in Selma, Alabama for the first time next Sunday, the 26th, and then Atlanta, Georgia, the following Sunday, June 2nd, and then, of course, we're in Wilmington, Delaware for the 2-day training. But what is so interesting is parents will call me all day, every day, leave me voicemails, pay me for one-on-one consultation, get the free advice that they need when they can't afford it. But they can come to this training, and in 2 days, they may never have to call me again because they don't know how to deal with everything. But our people, as a people, because our love for ourselves is so low. Like, if you ever want to know why Black people don't proactively take care of business until disaster strikes, the reason is, Elder, there's not enough love. When you love something, you will do everything you need to do to prevent problems from happening. In other words, you will educate your child, you will feed your child, you will clothe your child to prevent problems from happening. But unfortunately, because we don't have the type of love that we need, we don't do anything proactively. 95% of all Black activity is reaction. We wait for the police to shoot us. We wait for the kids to get put in special ed. We wait for them to be kicked out of school. We wait for them to put on ADHD medication. We wait for child protective services to take our kids. And then we go right to look for Dr. Umar or some other professional to help us. But why not love the child enough to learn what you need to know up front so you will already be prepared to deal with the situation? And that's what this conference is about. It's about being prepared before disaster strikes.
Yes, indeed, Doctor. That is so true, being prepared before disaster strikes, because that's what happened with this young man. His parent and the community center that he was part of was not prepared until disaster almost struck. Luckily, this young man cried out for help. But it shouldn't have been a situation where this young man cried out for help. Someone who was already aware of his situation should have did something about it as soon as the issue came up. And our children are so talented. This is what blows my mind. Our children are so talented. And like you said, we're reactionary. Instead of being proactive when we see that high level of talent and pushing them as far as they can go, we wait until it's almost too late. And I'm getting so sick of that. That is why one of the things that I do not, really advocate for are some of these charter schools, and especially some of these alternative schools, because the alternative schools are what? Reactionary. Wait until this child has got in trouble and, then got kicked out of the regular public school, and then you want to do something about it. That's why I appreciate so much this conference. And I will tell our listeners, if you're a parent, you want to attend this conference, by all means, that would be the proactive thing to do, Dr.
Absolutely, that would be the proactive thing to do. And I'm hoping that some of our Wilmington, Delaware parents will register. I think I saw maybe 1 or 2, but most of the attendees so far are coming from out of the Delaware area, and that's kind of unfortunate because you and I both know the types of challenges that Black parents face. It's so much in particular. We know some of those dismally low academic outcome rates. We read the report, so I'm hoping that more Black parents from Wilmington itself and from the state of Delaware itself see the importance of this conference actually being hosted within walking distance from their home, 1601 North Spruce Street. And there won't be any, I don't think I'll be allowing any walk-in registrations. You will have to register online beforehand because lunch will be prepared. And I also have to prepare the conference package for everyone. So I have to know upfront what I'm dealing with to make sure I have everything in place, because this is a lot of paperwork that we're going to go over. And I have to make copies of that paperwork for everyone. So if you're planning to come, you can go ahead and register. What I do think about what I am anticipating doing is splitting the conference into 2 days. And what I mean by that, it doesn't change the schedule. It will still be 9 to 5 Saturday and Sunday. But for those who can only afford to attend Saturday or who can only afford to attend on Sunday, they will be able to do so. Just pay for the 1 day and come, because both days is $100. But what I'm going to do is do 2 registrations. So if you only want to come Saturday, you can. If you only want to come Sunday, you
Okay, like I said, that is well worth the price. And like you stated, considering the problems that we face here in Wilmington, Delaware, you know, we had one district that had 100% push out rate. I don't call it a dropout rate, 100% push out rate. No child from that district for 2 years graduated from high school. That's just awful. Yeah.
That's unacceptable.
That is unacceptable.
If that was the reality for white students, there would be a moratorium on education. It would be considered a state of emergency had it happened to white students.
Yeah. And you know, the council person from that district said, "Why did y'all put that out there? You're stepping on my toes." Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Instead of their reaction being, "Oh my God, we got a disaster here. We got an emergency here. We need to do something about it," their reaction was, "You're embarrassing me." Yeah, so that's the mindset.
The other thing too, you know, that we're learning now, I have to double check on Delaware because I'm not certain, but we know it to be true in Pennsylvania, we know it to be true in Ohio, we know it to be true in Maryland, and we know it to be true in New Jersey, if I didn't mention them. The state teacher pension systems, the state teacher retirement pension systems are investing in private prisons to raise retirement money for their teachers.
Wow.
I mean, listen, yes, it is a national crisis. I think about 20 states so far. 20 states are now investing in prisons to raise money through the teacher retirement system. If that is not a conflict of interest, how can you have teachers whose job is to produce successful African American boys? That's your job, to make sure they never go to jail, to make sure they are properly prepared for life. But yet, your retirement pension depends on them going to jail. Look at the conflict of interest.
Yeah, well, for us, it's a conflict of interest. But considering, you know, the school to prison pipeline and the reality of the school to prison pipeline, you know, this goes right in line with white supremacy's plan. I mean, it goes right in line with white supremacy's plan. Here in Delaware, we don't have private prisons. However, the vendor market for our prisons is off the hook. So, you know, it's, yeah. And not only that, but where the prisons are placed and how the prisons are staffed, okay, that tells us a lot about the economic importance to those communities of our prisons, even though they're not private prisons here yet. Okay, yeah. So it is a situation that we are dealing with in a roundabout way. But like I said, the school to prison pipeline is alive and well here in Delaware.
Amazing. You know, and we're still going forward with the renovations on the Frederick Douglass Marcus Garvey Academy. As we discussed the last time I was on your broadcast, we purchased the former Moyer Academy Charter School building, and we have those in our possession, and we're currently in the process of raising money to restore those buildings. So I'm asking all of your businesses, Cash App, they can make a donation to the Restoration Fund on the Cash App, and the handle is $FDMG School. I repeat, on the Cash App, the donation handle is $FDMG School. The complete link is cash.me/$FDMG School. Cash.me/$FDMG School. If they want to mail in their donations, they can mail them in, payable to FDMG Academy, and that's P.O. Box 9634. I repeat, P.O. Box 9634, Wilmington, Delaware 19809. We need as many donations as we can. As you know, I am a Garveyite, a Pan-Africanist. We do not believe in handouts from the government. We do not take money from white institutions. So this will not be a charter school. It will not be funded by corporate America. It will be funded by Black America. Please donate and help us give our boys a new opportunity at a better life. We're going to teach agricultural and agronomical science, financial and economic science. We're going to teach dietary and nutritional science, spiritual and astrological science, science of the Black man and woman, and political and military science. This will be a school like none other. This will be the first school in American history that doesn't prepare the black boy just to go to college, but prepares the black boy for power, how to understand power, the nature of power, how to accumulate it, and how to protect it.
Yes, sir. And how to pass it down. Brother, yes, sir. Brother, could you also give us the information on the conference one more before I let you go?
The most important conference we hope in Delaware comes out. I have parents come in from around the country. They refuse from Delaware, and that would be unfortunate. But again, as we spoke of earlier, a lot of us, we're not proactive. We're not motivated to prepare. We're only motivated to respond. But that conference will be held 1601 North Spruce Street. I repeat, 1601 North Spruce Street in Wilmington, Delaware. And that will be June 8th and June 9th. It is Saturday and Sunday. June 8th and June 9th from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m. Lunch will be served. You will also get a free tour of the building. And as you know, the Doomsday Festival is in South Philadelphia on Sunday, June the 9th. So what we're going to do on Sunday is we're going to end a little early and we're going to take an excursion up to South Philly so the brothers and sisters who attend the conference can experience and enjoy the Doomsday Festival on Sunday. So we're going to have a wonderful time learning, networking, building, and by tonight, if you go to my website now, drumarjohnson.com, you have to pay for both days. But by tonight, because of parent request, some parents were saying they can only afford for one day or can only be there for one day. You're going to have 3 registration options. You can pay for both days, or you can pay for Saturday, or you can pay for Sunday. So that will be up on the website in just a couple of hours. Again, you can pay for both days, which I hope you all can, because you need to be there for both. Or you can just come this Saturday or just come this Sunday. But please come on out. We need this when we look at the crisis facing black children, the fact that only 1 out of every 4 black boys is graduating, the fact that 1 out of every 3 black boys is able to go to special ed, the fact that 1 out of every 4 black boys is on psychiatric medication, the fact that 1 out of 3 black boys will end up under some form of criminal justice supervision in his life. When you look at the academic outcomes for black boys, it is an absolute travesty that we don't have more black parents registered for this conference.
Be proactive. Attend Dr. Umar Johnson's conference. Dr. Umar, as one Garveyite to another, thank you so much for calling in. And also, I will continue.
Not to cut you real quick, 215 if anyone needs to text me for more information. And also, Bob, we are going back to Africa, to Ghana, for the 400 years of slavery festivities in Ghana, the year we turn. July 25th to August the 4th. Anyone who's interested in going to Ghana, anyone who needs to fly for Wilmington, the lecture, I'll be lecturing in Philadelphia Sunday, June the 30th at 4 o'clock. Any of that information, text me. 215-989-9858. 215-989-9858.
All right. Thank you, sir. And
Thank you, God bless you.
Same to you, brother. Thanks for calling in. All right. Peace. That was Dr. Umar Johnson right here on the Open Eye. Okay. And like I said, hey, from one Garveyite to another, Dr. Johnson, thank you for calling in. And this is not something that you want to miss. You want to be proactive. And just to let you know, Brother Nsoromma is in the building. How you doing, Nsoromma?
Yeah. What's good, my brother?
This, that, and the other
he
thing.
Always come with good information.
All the
the
time.
brother is, you know, for our people. You know what I'm saying?
Yes,
and
sir.
I'm a real follower of Brother Umar,
Yeah.
or Dr. Umar now, as you can say. Yo, wagwan. What's happening, big homie?
This, that, and the other thing. This, that, and the other thing, brother. Look, gotta do it. Gotta handle a little business here. We are Facebook Live.
Can't see it. Let me see what we look like. You know what I'm saying?
You can come in something.
Yeah, see, that's what I see.
Yeah. All right.
Hey, yo, what's poppin'? We on Facebook, we live, you know what it is. Yo, you got brother Mr. Gibbs, brother Pat.
Yes, sir.
What just happened to our, oh, okay, there.
Yeah, you good. Okay.
We good, we good.
Yeah.
Yo, tune in, link up, let us know. You know, is that my boy Linwood?
Yeah, that's Mr. Jackson on there. Mr. Jackson.
What's happening, Mr. Jackson?
show, the Linwood Jackson radio show, comes on Fridays at 5. Y'all don't want to miss that. That's where Linwood ain't no joke on there. But you know, I'm a little close there. Hey, what you bring for us, brother? Can you bring something?
No, I had bought that for brother, Dr. Umar.
Okay. Yeah, I got caught up in the traffic.
I told him he needed me to come get him. I told you I do the transportation services, so I'm the man. I get you through that time.
Yeah, I heard that. Look, Doc, I was gonna sell you one of my books. You don't want to miss that. So next time we're in town, we get together and you will see one of my books. Okay. Oh, we back live on the air here. Let me get us back up here. Yeah. I dealt with them haters today, brother.
Did you?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I told you what happened. Somebody wanted our Facebook Live taken down. What's up, Sherry? Yeah. They said we was coming in with bad information.
Hey, girl, what's happening, Sherry?
Hey, Sherry. Yeah, said we was coming in with bad information.
Bad information? Oh,
yeah.
Obviously, their information was bad.
About
our bad information.
How about that? Yeah, there you go. Yeah, they like I said earlier, reported us to Facebook and said that our video needed to be taken down because the information that we were giving up was inaccurate. That
but that's what they fail to realize. Listen, they always on our back, on our backs.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And we ain't gonna do nothing that's gonna jeopardize them to even have an upper hand on us. So if we giving some information up, you can best believe we did the research on it before we even telling you about it. Because we already know they out to shut us down. That's their thing. You know, like PE said.
Shut them down.
Well, it ain't gonna happen today.
No, it ain't.
You know what I mean?
No, it ain't, because you know what's happening around here?
Oh, we're gonna be doing it. Most definitely. Hey. Big ups to Delegate, my homie Smooth. What's good, homie?
Some things to deal with here right quick. And we got some crazy stuff going on out here. Oh, we're gonna get them.
Y'all ready for the day?
Yeah, buddy.
Open Night Radio, 11 to 12 p.m. Tune in every Saturday.
More than just radio.
And you know we're more than radio.
About educating them. WHGE 95.3 FM.
Right.
Check this out, brother. Black college student sentenced to 12 years in prison for kissing a white girl.
I mean, it's 2019, man.
12 years.
It's 2019.
Yeah.
And they just let a little white boy off for taking a little girl in the bathroom, raping her, and said, oh, well, we're just going to give him a smack on the wrist.
Yeah.
See, we got to start attacking these judges and the judicial system, the people that's making decisions behind. I mean, the whole judges need to be accountable. Period.
Oh yeah. Oh, they pitched a boogie about that judge. They want to remove. He's a New York judge. He moved a school bus driver, raped a 14-year-old student.
Right.
Who was served no time in prison.
Right.
Okay. And this judge is facing calls for his removal after he sentenced a former bus driver who raped the 14-year-old girl to 10 years probation. And
that's what I mean. Down the line, it's probably his great grandson.
You know what? Here's what I suspect. Okay, fellow travelers. Yeah. He like raping 14-year-old girls too.
Oh yeah. I mean, they can relate.
Yeah.
To each other.
He's pedophile too, nasty bastard.
Yo, man.
Now here's another one. All right, same. This one's worse. This one's worse. All right, Tennessee pastor, man of God, who repeatedly raped his own daughter, gets a life sentence because of Jesus.
Get a life sentence because of Jesus? Jesus gave him a life sentence.
Yeah, oh, nothing says good Christian man like rape and incest. Tennessee pastor David Richards received a life sentence after being convicted of repeatedly raping his own 14-year-old daughter.
I mean, that's not surprising to me because that happens in their
culture.
Like I mean,
yeah, it's a cultural thing.
It's a shame, but you know, I'm not surprised by a lot of things that they do.
Yeah. Well, in this
right.
In this despicable miscarriage of justice, Judge Stephen Sword sentenced Pastor Richard to only 12 years in prison for repeatedly raping his 14-year-old daughter over the course of several years. In court, prosecutors argued the severity and heinous nature of the crime deserved a minimum of 72 years in prison, but Judge Stephen Sword felt otherwise, showing sympathy and empathy for the rapist while minimizing the human suffering caused by Pastor Richards. He cited the good work that the rapist and incestuous pedophile had done in the community in an attempt to justify the life sentence.
I mean, and if you notice the language and the words that they say when they have their own kind in front of them, it's like incredible.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely incredible, brother. Absolutely incredible. Another thing,
making them sound like an angel.
Oh yeah, Oh yeah, another thing that I gotta bring up. I'm sure you heard about the pregnant.
Oh man, I wanted to go. Listen,
shot 5 times by the cops.
I mean, for them to be, wanting to ban Minister Farrakhan. And I read earlier today that this lady, she was playing her music and she was playing a speech, Malcolm X's speech, and 100 cops came to her house, kicked her door in, and arrested her and charged her with playing Malcolm X's speech.
I didn't know that was against the law.
I didn't know it was against the law either.
Yeah, but if you're a white supremacist KKK cop, then you're definitely bothered by that.
But how you gonna ban Minister Farrakhan? He's not violent. He's not saying, yo, we need to go get some guns, some AKs, and we need to go handle this because I'm tired of this.
Yeah.
He can say that.
Yeah.
And be for real about the people that's behind him standing up and forcing them to do what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or make them get off our backs. You kill us, you get killed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean,
it would be off base if he said that.
Right.
But the problem with what Minister Farrakhan is saying, I have my problems with the Nation of Islam and Minister Farrakhan, okay? But the problem with what he is saying, what he's talking about, that scares them, is he's talking about do for self, black empowerment. Anytime you bring up black empowerment, that's a problem.
Right. You messing with their money.
Oh, yeah.
We are their money. We are their commodity. We are their slaves. We buy all their stuff that they create and make and wear and all these new styles and all.
And you know what Brother Rich said, Richard Pryor? A lot of people just looked at Richard Pryor as a comedian, but Richard Pryor was teaching.
Oh yeah, Richard Pryor was very smart, especially when he went to actually got burned up, and then he went to Africa, and he really he came back on some other stuff.
He came back on some other stuff.
He ain't even want to use the N-word no more.
No, he didn't. But I'll tell you what he said about our relationship to white America, and this is harsh. And, Brother Rich ain't pulling no punches. He said we are their biggest whore.
Right.
That's crazy. That's crazy, but it's true. It's true. See, when we start doing for self and making our money bounce in our own community, then we will become a problem. Let me tell you something about these cops. These race soldiers are killing black men, women, and children. This is becoming an almost daily occurrence. The police can bring an armed murderer that has shot up a school but must shoot an unarmed pregnant woman who posed no threat. The complaint is that there's a problem with the way police are trained.
I mean, I was looking at this. It was like a police training tape because I'm training myself.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah,
You gotta be ready for war, because we're at war.
We're
Really,
at war.
it didn't physically hit us; it's mentally hitting us. But in a few more years, it's getting ready. It's really getting ready to hit us physically now. And what I was looking at this tape, and this particular tape, it had all these cops in there. It was 5 targets up, and the 6th target was a black guy, and all the rest of the targets was white guys. Yeah. And in the shooting range, you can't see the person next to you. So you didn't know if it was a white person shooting next to you or a black person shooting next to you. And it was like 10 in a row.
Yeah, I saw.
And don't you know, all the people that was on the row shooting were white.
Yeah.
And
who are they shooting at?
Then not one of them shoot none of the white targets.
How about that?
And all of them shot the black target.
Yeah.
Now,
so like I said, the training, you know, they complain. Well, it's the training. Okay, they don't have to be trained not to kill white people. Not even when they are armed and dangerous. The police bring them in alive. Now the question is, what are we in the black community going to do about this? Pray, march, and protest? Obviously, that response from black people is ineffective because the abuse and murders continue. Okay, until the response is potent and the consequences are severe, the wanton murders are going to continue. Until our response is severe enough to put a stop to this, it's going to continue.
Right. Now, if it was some kind of, you know, superhero, black superhero, like, you know, Daredevil, you know, Iron Man, or somebody that come and protect the black people from all these injustice judges and corrupt cops that's killing these black people, then it'd be a fear for that. It'd be a fear to shoot or kill a black person. They don't have that.
We don't have that.
So they on go.
Yeah.
You understand?
So it's up to us to make this stop happening.
Right. To create something like that.
When that pregnant young lady was shot, the video was shot by a black man. And this black man stood back, watched this cop fight and wrestle this black woman, shot the video, and gave commentary on this. Yo, brother, what the hell was wrong with you? How could you stand by and watch that? See, that's the problem. That's the problem right there. Yo, brothers.
They think that uniform. See, this is how the mentality is on them now. They make that uniform their
superhero costume.
Right, their costume.
Yeah.
Which is in turn a deterrent for, you know, that brother could have been a strong brother. If it was his sister, yeah, he maybe would have responded. But it is your sister.
It is your sister.
You understand? And that's what I'm saying. If we look at every situation like it could be our own brother or sister that's in that situation,
been looking at it.
And that's what it is. We're not looking at it like that. They looking at it like, oh, this they saying it and everything. But it is.
See, so many times these situations happen, and brothers out there shooting these videos and then posting them up on what is that, World Star Hip Hop. Wow, look what happened here. Brother, we stood back and didn't do a damn thing. You know what? Let me tell you something. It's called fear.
Right.
It's called fear. You are afraid to do a damn thing about your sister's life being taken by one of these race soldiers. Right. Shame on you, brother. Shame on you. This is the Open Eye.
Yaga. 95.3 FM, WHGE. Ohio. Bears. Oh, yeah, I remember that. Huh?
Sound like whose voice? Sound like whose voice? Lord have mercy. All right.
I was like, gee, what time did I come in? Or did I came in? I was like, oh, I stepped into the furnace.
Brother Umar.
Stepped into the furnace.
Yeah.
Baby, oh my God. Yeah.
We come around to close the show here. And once again, I got too much stuff to get to. But we're gonna get to them.
Oh, yeah,
They
eventually
never
just
run
move
out.
to
You
the
always
next
have
slide.
something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Those are
And you
not
can do
2-minute segments. I
you
mean,
can do a special show.
That's what I'm gonna have to do one of these times. Do a special show.
Tune in later on today.
Yeah.
We're gonna do a double bubble up for you.
You know, I'm telling you.
that's what it looks like it's leading to.
Yeah. You know, at the time. Well, of course, Umar Johnson was on. You know, that's Johnson. Yeah.
So that's why you're like even extra on what you already do.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Look. Our culture has accepted two huge lies. This one, Dave Chappelle. I did this. The first is that if you disagree with someone's lifestyle, you must fear or hate them. I ain't scared of no damn body. All right. The second is that, you know, to love someone means you agree with everything they believe, say, or do. Both are nonsense. You don't have to compromise convictions to be compassionate.
You don't have to compromise convictions to be compassionate.
Right.
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 I mean,
You know,
you still have to stand your own ground and be your own being.
that's what you got to do. That's what you got to do. You know?
And that's why I say this.
Mhm.
We have to stand up on our own 2 feet. I
Yeah.
mean, as a black culture, period, they already stealing all the things that we have.
Mhm.
So once they finish stealing,
Mhm.
what you think is gonna happen?
Yeah. Yeah. You know.
It'll be like the
but-
Indian situation. It'll be some they're making our history. They're digging up the graveyards, putting sites and houses over our historical
Yeah.
places
Mhm.
where all our historical beings was buried.
Mhm.
And so they're really erasing our black history.
Oh, they've been doing that for
since
centuries.
they right.
Yeah, since
I
they
mean-
ran over in Egypt and shot the noses off the
Exactly,
off the statues and what
exactly.
have you.
So-
You know? But getting back to what my man is saying here, you know, it's the charge of phobia. You're homophobic, you're transphobic, you're this, that, and the other thing. First of all, what is a phobia?
I was like getting ready to say because isn't that a made up word by the European or whatever?
Well, yeah, but a phobia is a fear. Okay, so who are you afraid of? Okay, I'm not afraid of anybody. You know, I have people in my family that have different lifestyles or what have you. I'm not afraid of them. I
Right.
just don't agree with them. You know, or you could even go as far as, you know, some would call me religious. I have a religious phobia or something because I'm not a Christian or Muslim or Jew or any of the so-called traditional religions and what have you.
Right.
You know, well, no, I was raised a Christian. I studied Islam. I know Judaism, okay, but I'm not afraid of any of them.
But what do they all have in common?
They all have one thing in common, okay? Treat others like you want to be treated. That's common to all the religions and spiritualities.
But they
across the
don't do
board.
that.
But they don't do that. no.
Exactly. So it's a front. If
Yeah.
you're dealing with a person, you go to the supermarket and you know you going in there for some milk and you want whole milk.
Mhm.
And you go in there, the person at the door say, listen, we got milk for sales and this milk right here is half price. But that ain't the milk I want because it's 1%.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
So I'm going to walk by that.
Okay. Right.
Most people won't do that because they so bamboozled and so manipulated that they think that sale they get in a better price or the better thing because it's a sale there. And that's the way we as a black culture look at this society.
Yeah. Well, you know what? For one thing, you know, basically what you're coming down to is we are too afraid or lazy to learn anything beyond what we've been taught or what we've been conditioned to accept.
Right.
You know, that's one thing. Another thing is, as far as the society, well, it's not a civilized society. It's organized barbarity. This is the open eye.
WHGE 95.3 FM.
You ready?
You know we got about 800 hits.
Ready, Lorraine?
Open eye.
Call. What's the numbers? What's the numbers? No, sir. What's the
So
numbers?
she put the 2 up.
Like a phone.
Open eye listeners know the sound of that music. Oh, we weren't going to disappoint you. You didn't think that we were going to go high today and not go down the organic path with Lorraine. Miss Vlard, good morning. It's still morning.
Yes. Okay. Good morning. Yes. I know, right, Pat?
Yes, ma'am.
So I didn't get a chance to share with you this time, but yes. So this time it is part 3. I know. Why do you keep talking about opioids? Because it's an epidemic.
Mm-hmm.
It's really, really major. Well, even if you don't use it, you might know someone or might have seen someone that does use it. Like today, this is the last part, but I'm talking to the ones that the doctors did not write the prescription, or the ones that choose to continue their prescription,
Mm-hmm.
not by a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe I'll say it that way.
Okay.
But it's very, very important to me. And so I'm just giving information today, but I do want to finish this part. I could not just continue to just skip over such a major drug. And as you remember, the federal law banned this, at least the illegal drug, which is heroin.
Mm-hmm.
In what year? Remember that, Pat?
1924.
That's exactly right. So today I'm just going to just share briefly. Like I said, for those that was opioid users, yes, you had the prescription, but you choose not to have dropped off your prescription to remember the National Prescription Drug Take Back Day, April 27th. That was an official day with CVS and Aetna.
Right.
All right, so fentanyl. Let's talk about fentanyl. This one is 100 times more potent than morphine. And remember, morphine, I said, is really, really powerful.
Yeah.
But fentanyl is
It's 100 times more potent.
100 times more potent than morphine. And remember, that is to kill or to help with severe pain. So your doctor puts you on that, writes a prescription drug. They understand the power of that particular narcotic. Okay. But then it's time for you to get off that, not wean yourself off. Get off.
Get off.
Okay. So I want to make that very clear. But there's another one which is called heroin, which we already shared. It's illegal. It's I want to say like a bootleg drug. It is. It's extracted in a different way, and it's synthetic. And as you all know, Pat know, that's why he named this show this particular title. I'm all about organic. All right. So we also know that it came from the opium poppy plant, but as a period of time passed by, different experiments came into play with this particular drug, which makes it very, very difficult to come off of. And a lot of people that actually start this drug, they dread just the very thought of how they need to come off this drug through a withdrawal. They literally, millions of users on this, and this is noted. So it's not something that I made up. So once again, heroin is made from the resin of poppy plants. It's a milky sap-like opium. It's first removed from the pod. So it's like a bulb that sits up. It's like a green, like a almost like a lighter, like olive green shade, just like a real olive. And this opium is refined. So once again, we're doing things, we're putting our hands in it. Why not just have it extracted from the plant, use it for the medicinal purposes, and leave it alone?
Right.
Okay, but then it's refined to make morphine. Further refined is different forms of heroin. Most heroin is injected. Young ones, close your ears. I'm sorry. It's injected. We've seen some, some have seen walking down the streets.
Yeah.
And, maybe tapping of the arms or whatever, injected, but it's also inserted. That's right. I said it.
Inserted.
I know, Pat, just leave that right there because I don't know how young our listeners are, but insert it.
Okay. I can just imagine where, use your imagination on that one.
Okay, this is all documented. So remember, last week, Mayo Clinic, the staff, employees, they observe all of this. So they know what goes on. So creating additional risk for the user who faces the danger of AIDS or other infection. Now, the origin, as you remember, the bearer of this particular pharmaceutical is, I'm sorry, I lived there, I was stationed there for 2 years, Germany. Their reason for doing this was to treat tuberculosis, sorry about that, as well as a remedy for morphine addiction. But what they found, it got worse. Can you imagine? Worse.
Yeah.
And so now we have methadone.
Yeah.
So that's why we have methadone clinics. I'm giving you this information because we are surrounded by this, but it's not in our community though, right?
Right.
Right. So that's why we have methadone clinics, and it is a need. But this was discovered in 1937 by a German scientist. The scientist was searching for a surgical painkiller, but it was exported to the US and given the trade name Dolafine in 1947, renamed, once again, methadone, as a treatment for heroin addiction. And once again, unfortunately, it proved to be even more addictive than heroin.
But there's still methadone clinics. That's what's crazy.
Exactly. That's why I keep talking about this subject, because it is an epidemic. We can't close our eyes to this. This is a very, very serious plague. I call it a plague.
Yeah.
Epidemic plague. It is very serious. And to the point where if you have to set up clinics
to try to wean people off of it.
Exactly.
When you first put them on it.
To begin with.
Right. So that's why I said I am specifically talking to the users that the doctor has said no more. So I'm just bringing awareness of that. So in my closing, by the late 1990s, the mortality rate of heroin addicts was estimated to be as high as 20 times greater than the rest of the population. This drug is used by millions around the world. And the sad part is that most know and do not want to face the horror of withdrawal. So they dread that day. If I choose to stop using this, I just don't want to face the withdrawal stage.
I heard that. That's crazy.
Yes.
That's the scary part of it, though.
Right. So if you would like more information on this, please go to www.drugfreeworld.org, and you can get more information on all of the drugs that are passed on, stem from opioids, all the other drugs which are synthesized or, additional things added to it.
Drugfreeworld.org.
Yes.
True and correct information that I'm sure that our independent international fact checkers will support. Okay?
Yes. So I'm glad they did. They looked it up, and so I'm glad that Pat and I and Nsoromma, we do research and go through these things. We do not just come before you just talking just to hear our voices, but we do spend time, and Pat can witness that, yeah, sometimes I spend a couple of hours preparing these small little tips, but I enjoy it.
All right. And the Organic Path with Lorraine is brought to you by
Organic Supplements LLC. Mywakaya, that's MYWAKAYA.com.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Vlard.
You're welcome.
WHGE 95.3 FM. Go God. All right.
No illegal drug. We don't do that in our community. Right? We don't do that. It's not in Thailand. It's not in South Africa, our friends. Or it's not even on the streets, right, Pat? When we go out and see our wonderful audience and listeners, they don't do that.
Of course not. No. That brother that was nodding down the street from me, he was just sleepy, huh?
Okay, I'm not going to fabricate on that, but we'll talk about that later.
I think it was a little more than just sleeping, unfortunately. Where am I here? Where am I looking for that? There it is.
Hey, I was still dancing. Listen.
WHGE 95.3 FM. This is the Open Eye. And as usual, we close with my rant. All right. I'm gonna hit you a little hard because I remember well when the situation happened in Haiti with the natural disasters, that some of our religious leaders, religious people say that we were cursed. And that's why these things happen. Okay. I saw a black congresswoman from Florida. She said that thank God for slavery, because otherwise she'd be over in Africa swinging in the trees, and God has blessed her to be here. You know, and let me tell you something, we are not cursed. I've seen several posts on Facebook and other social media by black people stating that black people suffered the oppression and horror of slavery because the black people of Africa were and are disobedient to God. Thus, we were cursed with slavery as punishment. I'm not sure if this view should be defined as slave mentality, mental illness, or just idiocy. According to this stance, God is punishing black people for their shortcomings while allowing our oppressors, evil, and deviltry to go unchecked and unpunished. So God is mean and vindictive and racist and obviously doesn't like black people. Religious black people who take this stance claim our ancestors chose disobedience by not believing in the religions introduced to black people by foreigners, thus chose slavery. Our ancestors are at fault for the evil that has befallen us. Furthermore, black people are still suffering because of continuing disobedience and are slaves to the idols of sex and materialism. That black people still have not accepted the laws of God and suffer by choice. This is so utterly ridiculous that it's difficult to address. First of all, it is hypocrisy of the lowest order. Every one of these so-called religious people, some have the audacity to call themselves spiritual, pursue the trappings of wealth and the decadent creature comforts that modern society offers. Second, it is the height of ignorance to blame the oppressed for their own oppression, while excusing the evil and deviltry of the oppressor. Third, it is outright blasphemy to claim that God has cursed a whole race of people with such evil. If there is a God, this God did not mean this evil to befall anyone. This deviltry is the work of man. The energy of the universe created man. Man created gods and religion to oppress and enslave. Any black people that believe such foolishness curse themselves out of their own mouth. Keep your ignorance and your curses to your goddamn selves. Leave my people alone.
Why you cuss at?
Where do you get all your points? That is ridiculous.
That is.
I cannot believe
That's
I'm
what the monkey saying.
Yeah.
You understand?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And that's something else we gotta get to.
Definitely. You know what I'm saying? Like,
You know,
I'll be like,
they don't want women with their race to
so-
have abortions.
they don't. Now they made it a law recently that men can't jerk off, and because you're losing kids.
Yeah. Oh, that's down in Texas.
Come on, man.
That's down in Texas. And who's checking that?
Who's thinking
Who's checking that?
that? Who's thinking to say that's even a law or putting that in effect?
Well, it was a white woman, but you know the reason she did this was to be sarcastic against abortions. But my thing is, if they pass this law, who is going to go around and check if men
And
are
see.
masturbating? Yeah.
Right.
okay, I came into a serious mix. I'm in the middle, you guys. I'm so sorry. Nsoromma is really rich. I missed a whole lot. I'm just here to bring some more education on smoking a pipe or hookah.
Yeah, the hookah pipe, that sound like crack.
Yeah.
All that.
Let me close out the show here. We ain't going nowhere on Facebook. Let's stay with it.
Yeah, it's still here for the second part.
WHGE 95.3 FM. I want to thank Brother Herb Broadwater for this. You have to trust that when you get a no, a yes is waiting. Don't lose faith because you didn't get what you want when you wanted it. Pay attention. The tougher the day, the greater the strength you develop. The longer the wait, the deeper your commitment through patience. The harder the test, the smarter the student. Know that the more trials, the bigger the triumph. More of this means more of that. And as I always say, value those who value you, and don't treat those as a priority who treat you as an option. I'm Patrice Gibbs.
Nsoromma.
Lorraine.
This is The Open Eye on WHGE 95.3 FM.
Yaga!
Okay. I walked into a steaming hot room. We need to
They
open a little bit.
gonna say something to us.
You know,
Oh, yeah.
they're really lit today. I missed a whole lot, so I'm not sure.
If I'm
Just
getting
Hang in there.
What'd you get? What'd you
Hang
get?
in there.
No.
Yeah, I thought somebody text you or
Oh,
something.
no,
What we
no.
doing over here?
Oh, girl.
Louise. Yeah, buddy. Okay. All right, well, that was The Open Eye. Are you ready for your next
I
segment?
am. This one is kind of short.
Okay. All right, works for me.
This one is short. Are you
Let
gonna
me get
go
your
for a
things on.
little bit?
Oh, yeah.
I can't believe you have that one.
Mhm. WHGE 95.3 FM. It is now time for Facts About Smoking with Lorraine. Lorraine?
Hello, everyone, again. Glad to be here with you. And go over some things that we talked about last week, which was side stream and secondhand smoking. So what I generally open up with is, let's do our math. Let's see how much money I can take to the bank. 1 pack a day. Pat, say this pledge with me.
$7.50.
You don't smoke now. $7.50.
Right.
Okay, 1 pack a day, 365 days a year.
Oh,
how many cigarettes?
7,300.
On the low.
On the low.
On the low, because
Yeah.
I know some probably do a little bit more than a pack a day.
Yeah.
But I know you're telling us again, Lorraine. Yes, I've been asked to do this again. This is my 14th week talking about smoking.
Wow.
Until I see smoke stop coming out of the ears, the nose, the bones, yes, your teeth, hands, and wherever else, your neck, we got to have this conversation. Sorry. So, but this time, I'm pretty much talking, oh yeah, how much am I taking to the bank on that?
$2,900.
Louder, please.
$2,900.
And $20. Put the 20 on there.
$2,920.
Right. So I need to say it because Pat kind of ran through that a little fast. It's a little too fast for me. Let me tell you how much money you are spending on the low with just 1 pack a day, honestly. And I'm probably averaging a little bit less because guess what? It depends on where you live. That same pack costs more, or it depends on what brand you use, more money. More mucho dinero, $2,920. That's how much you're spending for your habit, your addiction, or your vice. Okay?
All right.
So now that I got that out, so what I talked about last week was side stream and secondhand smoke. This is series 2, only because there are people that do not smoke, have allergies, whatever reason, had bad experiences, allergies, don't like the smell, or just body just simply react different. I'm one. My eyes start watering, look like I'm crying. Just my nose, I start sneezing. Just I'm allergic, and I'm glad I am. But anyway, let's talk to the non-smokers. Certain things you can do to protect yourself, and as I shared with you last week, I will talk about how you can protect yourself and your family if you do not smoke. So the only way to fully protect non-smokers from secondhand smoke is to eliminate smoking indoor workplaces and public places, and by creating smoke-free policies for your own personal space, including multi-unit residential housing. This one is a big one. You know, if you smoke, you have neighbors in an apartment or multi-units, and your windows are open and the vents, I always tell people that, you know, I smell that someone is smoking. Well, Lorraine, how can you tell? No, it does. Just so you'll know, for the record, smoke does travel through the vents.
Through the ventilation system.
Not even, and people really try to convince me that, no, how can that be? It's, you're in your own space or place, but smoking does travel a very, very long ways. And I wish I could really measure that. You could be a good distance away, and somehow that smoke really travels. Okay, so once again, ventilation units, you can smell it. Windows open, it can come into your own dwelling. All right? So opening windows, using fans and ventilation systems, and restricting smoking to certain times of the day does not, I repeat, does not eliminate exposure to secondhand smoke. And yes, once again, this smoke does travel when or if windows are open. Okay, there are other ways. So let's go over some. Not allowing smoking in your home. You can restrict and say, I'm sorry, we do not smoke in here.
Okay.
You can do that in your own space.
Yeah, I know many people that do.
Yes, and there are a lot of, I commend lots of families. There are families that the other family members know the rules, or whoever else is dwelling in the homes know the rules. You do not smoke in the house. That's just the bottom line. There's no other conversation with that. Not allowing anyone to smoke in your car. Sometimes we feel like, you know, well, if I put the windows down. No, I'm here to tell you from cancer.gov that smoking, even with the windows down, it does travel, recirculate back in the car. I was sitting one day, I think it was like a week ago, and it was in the morning, and someone was smoking, and I am not making this up. That smoke literally traveled in the next lane into this lady's car.
Wow.
And I said, oh my goodness, look at that dragon smoke. I was like, I mean, I literally saw this smoke traveling into her car, and I'm like, I don't know what she's doing. Maybe she's a smoker, but I'm telling you, if she can smell it, I know it's traveling back to me. And oftentimes I will literally turn off my exhaust fan, literally, and I will roll up my windows. I don't care how hot. That's just how allergic I am to smoke. Very sensitive. And so right now we're just going to pause for a minute. We have other radio hosts, and I'm just going to ask Pat if he would just list or just say all the other radio hosts that's up to come, so you can listen out for them as well.
All right. Like I mentioned earlier today, earlier this morning, later this afternoon, there will be Ed Johnson Sports Zone. That's at 4 to 5 on WHGE 95.3. You don't want to miss it if you are interested in sports. Ed got you. He got all the information. The Week in Review with host Alan Lawrence. I had mentioned, I guess gave you a little preview on that earlier today. If you want to know what's going on right here in Wilmington, check out the Week in Review with Alan Lawrence. That's today at 5. From 5 to 6, and followed directly by our illustrious leader, Mr. Harmon Carey, with Black History Facts and Reflections from 6 to 7. So, like I tell you, you don't have to wait till Saturday morning to tune in. Tune in anytime during the week, and you will get some great programming right here on WHGE 95.3 FM.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Pat. We always want to recognize our other radio hosts that's doing a wonderful job. They share too. They enjoy sharing. They're committed. They're loyal to bringing you information as well. They're just on different times, right?
Yes. Great information.
Okay, exactly. So let's continue on with a few more other ways that you can protect yourself and your family from secondhand smoke. Okay, so another way, you can make sure the places where your children are cared for are tobacco-free too. This is very, very important. You know, sometimes we have parents that send their children to daycare. Now, this is Lorraine talking, having a real conversation, you know, a concerned conversation. A lot of parents drop off their children to daycares or whatever place where their children are kept throughout the day. Some it is to learn, educate, but you also want to protect them too, because sometimes as adults we do our habits in front of our children. Let's face it. So they come home sometimes with runny nose, sniffles, So if we as adults have allergies, and remember, allergies can develop at any time. There's no set time that, okay, I had an allergy as a child and I grew out of it and it's no more. Well, that's great, but allergies can develop at any time. So if you, as you know, like an educator, you're smoking in front of, maybe I shouldn't use just one specific, wherever your children are being taken care of, you just want to be mindful, because the smoke probably does bother them too. They just don't know how to explain that. So I'm not going to pick on educators. It's just from cancer.gov. It just says to please be careful, even with where you drop your children off for care during the day while you're at work or at night. So there's another way, teaching children to avoid secondhand smoke. So at a certain age, you can talk to your children and just help them how they can avoid that as well, because you do not want them to pick up that particular habit. So we've been going over constantly the risk, the different effects that smoking have on people. And another way, you can seek out restaurants. We like to go out, we like to do things, entertainment. You know, you can actually seek out different restaurants that are smoke-free. I know here in the state of Delaware, right, there you cannot smoke. It's legal.
It's illegal to smoke.
You cannot smoke in restaurants, right?
Right.
Okay, so there are, depending on which state you are in, you can, you know, seek out places, restaurants or entertainment places where they do not smoke, smoke-free. Because some states, I'm not sure, they may have some states where you still can smoke. Now, I went to a different state, and the laws may have changed by now, Pat. I went to a different state and ate at a restaurant for breakfast. So it was legal to smoke inside of the restaurant, but it was sections.
Yeah, they have that in some states. You know, they have non-smoking sections.
Right. So although they had it, the sections separated, but when you're a person that have allergies, you still really smell it. It was so bad until we had to move.
Wow.
So I'm not sure if I will ever go back to that restaurant again in that state.
I heard.
So
I thought they had banned smoking inside.
In most public places, but some states they still allow smoking in, you know, they still have smoking sections.
Right, they have the smoking sections, but
Not
as
here,
someone that just have allergies and allergic to smoking, what I'm saying is you still smell it, like it's though you're actually in a smoking environment. So, but just check it out. And some people it's very severe, and that's important. Just do your homework, check out these different places where you want to go, and just ask. And then that way you're not surprised if you cannot smoke. And then what we call that a nicotine. Pat, go ahead and say it for me. You know what they're called.
Addiction. Is that what you're saying?
Fit.
Yeah, nicotine fit. Yeah.
We got to spend 30 minutes outside for you to get your puff on. Well, you know, some do more than one.
She said
30 minutes. Yeah.
30 minutes, because one puff is not enough, and you know, my nerves bad. I need another one. So now we can't enjoy our entertainment or whatever we go to do, because our party needs to smoke and smoke again. So yeah, check these places out before you go. Well, you know what? I am so sorry. I'm really not trying to look at you as far as smoking, but do you?
Yes, I smoke. Yeah, we know I smoke. I'll cut down.
I think Pat cut down like what, by 3 or 4?
1 or 2 a day, right?
I'm trying.
Yeah.
I'm trying.
Wait a minute. Let's post this number. Can you bring this live Facebook back? Because wait a minute, you reminded me, Pat.
Okay.
I needed to. It's a challenge. Like you all, here she go talking about smoking again. Well, you know what the challenge was? anyone, since let's post and you stop. There, it makes no sense. This is my 14th week talking about
we know you out there.
So how many will take the challenge and just post or ring Pat's phone and say, you know what, I stopped by 3. That will make my heart so happy. Of course, none at all. I would love for you to just stop. But I've been pretty easy on everyone, you know, by saying stop by 1 or 2 at least, right? I've been saying that from the time we started. But I will be glad when someone posts, you know what, I've given it up. I don't smoke anymore. I know we have them out there.
I'm sure we do.
Right? We have some. We have some on our Facebook Live. Hi, Victor. I won't call your last name out where you're from. Sherry.
Linwood was there for
hours. Linwood was on. Okay, good.
Our show is on Fridays at 5.
Great. So we love our Facebook Live friends. So we're just going to take a quick commercial. Please, Pat. And he's going to play something good as usual. Hoping not the pusher.
No. That's big and lots.
Oh, yeah. Let me give, I always like to give our listeners.
Our Facebook Live friends?
Yes, our Facebook Live friends. Guess what, everyone? It's summer coming up. And this right here, you want to lose some weight the healthy way? This is organic. Our organic products is just a shake. This is a trial size. It's delicious. I had it before. It does tremendous things with your digestive system, and it tastes good. And let me show you some real testimonies.
Is it do it have any flavor? What kind of flavors? Do it come in different flavors?
It's vanilla flavor, but it has cinnamon that tastes good. That's a natural sweetness. But look, wait a minute. Let me see if I can put it up there. Let me see. Can you put it? I know. And hopefully you can see, I know this gentleman right here. He literally looks good, and he's continuously losing some weight. And her, so this one, I know him. We meet in Vegas. And look at her. She lost, is that 30? And look how the before and after. I know some of these people, the weight loss is real, especially in that midsection. Okay, so you can check me out on my website.
Is it on?
You have it on the Patreon page.
Yes. Oh, make sure you check out our Patreon page too. Yes, sir. Make sure you check out our Patreon page and become a Patreon member. There are a lot of benefits to that, so make sure you check it out. Keep an eye out on your Facebook page for the Open Eye Radio Show.
Yes, it's delicious.
All right. Now back to Smoking Facts with Lorrine on WHGE 95.3 FM.
All right, welcome back. And before closing, you know, next week I want to talk about, well, what is being done to reduce non-smokers' exposure to secondhand smoke. So, you know, we already talked about that the law was passed in some states where you cannot smoke in places where a lot of people gather, in public places. A lot of public places, they have designated areas, or you just simply cannot smoke. And, you know, hey, in the winter, I'm sorry, some had to go outside, no matter how cold, snow coming down, and thunderstorms, and sorry, you cannot smoke in here. And so for some smokers, that's an uncomfortable feeling to them, but I'm hoping that maybe it helped them to cut down on their smoking or cut it out. OUT. out, or QUIT, quit. So that's, you know, next week I would like to talk about that. And some other places too, they have where you can smoke and you have to go outside, but within a certain amount of distance.
Yeah,
like,
from the door.
Please don't smoke right in front of the hospital door.
People do it.
You know, I mean, I'm talking about these things, but it is a real situation. I worked at the hospital, I think many of you know and heard me say more than once. I was in the medical field for 16 years, and literally seen this, witnessed this, smoking right in front of the hospital doors.
That's all right. I'm going to tell you on that. That's
tank and all.
Tank and all.
Yeah.
The oxygen tank. Yeah, that's real crazy.
It's real. Crazy. Please don't bring the O2 tank out.
That's the addiction. That's the addiction there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Remember we talked about this, all the different types of tobacco, the tar, the snuff. It leads to one thing after that, nicotine.
Yeah.
So be mindful. There are ways, and in closing, for the ones that do not smoke, there are ways, yes, if a smoker does not, or smoking in front of your face, there are ways that we can ask, even our loved ones, our family, our friends that dwell with us, there's a way we can ask them to not smoke in front of you in the house. You have to establish that. And hopefully, most people that I know, they will try not to. They really will. Now, I'm not saying that everyone is compliant.
No, but
some you can ruffle their feathers and they stand up strong to you. But, you know, if it's your house, there's a way to do that.
All right. All right.
Hopefully, it will not lead to legal ways or
putting people out,
brutal ways like get out. But, you know, be mindful, smokers, you know, don't smoke in the dwellings.
All right.
Okay. So if you desire to quit, you can get help at smokefree.gov, or I have a number, 877-44, the number 44, the letter U, quit.
877-44-U-QUIT.
That's right.
Smokefree.gov.
Yeah, let's not run through that real quick.
Okay.
If you desire to quit,
yes.
Let's go slow. 877-44-U quit.
Okay.
QUIT.
All right.
So please join me next week. We'll be talking about what is being done to reduce non-smokers' exposure to secondhand smoke.
All right, and that has been Lorrine with Facts on Smoking right here on WHGE 95.3 FM.
All right, see you next week.
All right, well done. I'm one in the can.
Thank you. Can you help that?
All right, Facebook Live fans, thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time.
We'll see you next week. All over the world, our friends. Right. Excited. When they wake up, I'm quite sure they will be watching this.
Oh, yeah. Sure
right?
They will. That's right. All right.
Pat sometimes gets 5 a.m. calls in the morning.